Welcome back, guys, and we are in Shanghai, China this week. What a race we had last weekend, but I'll get into all of that later. We also have a sprint weekend this weekend, and you guys know the sprint format is not my favorite. So Friday we have P1, only one practice session, then the sprint quali. Saturday we have the sprint race and then quali, and then Sunday we have the race at 9 a.m. Guys, we're running early times again for this race, and the F1 Academy is also back. So we've got loads of racing this weekend. Let's get into some circuit stats. We have a 56 lapper, 2 DRS zones, 5.41 kilometers circuit length, 305 kilometers race distance. The lap record holder is still Michael Schumacher from 2004 with a time of 1 minute and 32 seconds. Last year, the fastest lap was 1 minute 37 seconds. So let's see if we can get faster running times this week. So we've got 16 corners, medium to slow corners, long corners, and because of all the corners, it's quite hard on the tires, so we may see 2 to 3 pit stops. Last year we had 2 and 3 pit stops. This year Pirelli is giving the C2, C3 and C4 tire, which is the softest, and we're going to have a dry race, so it's going to be interesting to see how the cars handle the tire situation. Because it's a sprint weekend, the teams can actually change their setup before the race, so that could benefit some teams if they got it all wrong in quali and sprint. So the team's also going to do a medium to high downforce package, so they have grip on those corners. Overtaking is relatively easy in China because of the long main straights and the 2 DRS zones, so we may see more overtakes than of course last week, and it was pretty difficult with the wet weather last week. So let's get on to the teams. Let me start with Williams. That is the midfield team at the moment. I felt Williams did really well, and I actually think if Sainz didn't crash out, he would have done really well as well. James Vowles has been grooming this team with a 3 to 5 year plan, and I think it's paying off. Albon did actually really well, and I am very, very proud of Williams. So let's see where they get in China, because their cars should be able to do well, especially on the straights. I've always said Williams did well on the straights. Now, let's get into the nitty gritty of last week. So Ferrari did not have a great race all, and before I get on all the media and the hype about that, guys, it was the first race. What did we expect? It was Hamilton's first race in the wet. He didn't even know the different buttons on the steering to do in the wet, and of course we had the engineer drama coming over the radio, press K1, or telling Charles that the car is wet. So Ferrari still has some issues over the radio. I do think that the engineers need to listen to the drivers, especially with that wrong call at the end where they should have stayed out. We were so close, and then that just ruined everything. In general, I think Charles did okay. At least it was still in the top 10. It was, like I said, it was the first race, and normally after the third race, we can really see when the teams start dialing in. The only thing about this weekend is it's only one practice session, so they've got to be ready to go. And Leclerc has done well here in China before. Let's get on to Mercedes. So Mercedes was pretty average for me. They were running good times, but once again, it was George was in the right place. I feel that he didn't deserve that podium place because he didn't actually do a lot of work. It was right time, right place. I do think that Kimi actually did very well for a rookie, and we saw what happened to the rookies spinning out, and it was a wet race, guys. I mean, even Sainz spun out, so that was quite hectic. I really don't think we can say that the rookies are terrible because of the race that they had in Australia. So I think Kimi actually did really well, and he did a lot of overtakes, and he gained a lot of places. So I think Mercedes did well in Australia. I'm not sure about this weekend though. It is a dry race, and I think let's watch George, because I have a feeling that Kimi is going to outshine George this year. So let's see. So let's move on to Red Bull. So Red Bull, I feel, didn't actually have the best weekend. As we know, Liam did not do well, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure on Liam. I don't know, somehow he did much better in VCARB when he took over for Danny. And here he seems to be pressurized. We know there's this issue with being the second driver in Red Bull. We've seen it with You know, we've seen it with Perez, we've seen it with Danny, we've seen it all the years coming up. So I don't know if that's getting to Liam's head a bit, and possibly whoever's in the team, you know, saying things, you know, who I'm talking about. That's a lot for him to deal with. And of course, it was a super wet race, like I said. So let's see how well Liam does in China. But I do feel that Max didn't do that great. He had to work quite a bit, and Red Bull had an issue with keeping their tires. So let's see this race. It's a lot of tire wear in this race. And can Red Bull and Max save his tires and get through the whole race? I kind of feel that Red Bull's going to be third or fourth this weekend again. I don't feel that they're going to be right up there. And what I forgot to tell you about is Red Bull has been complaining to the FIA about the mini DRS systems that some of the teams are running. That is now banned. So let's see if that is really the issue, if the so-called mini DRS is helping McLaren and the other teams, or will Red Bull actually have to work on their car? Lastly, we get to McLaren. I think McLaren did really well last weekend. They were hot out the gates, and I feel, you know, the car was ready. And like I said, they are very lucky because they have seemed to work this car that it is adaptable to any circuit. So I don't see a problem in China at all. Lando had a very good race. He was actually leading most of the race. Oscar did well as well. I just think, you know, at the end, they spun out. Lando had a good recovery, and unfortunately, Oscar's recovery wasn't that fast as Lando. But I think, you know, all in all, at the end of the day, McLaren actually did really well. And to save the race like they did, I think it was brilliant. So I definitely foresee a podium in China for Lando. And let me get to my predictions. Going on the 2023 race, Max won, then Perez, and then Hamilton. 2024, we had Max win, we had Lando come second, and we had Leclerc on third. So my predictions for this race is, and let me not forget Yuki. Guys, Yuki is our pocket rocket. We know it. I have a funny feeling that Yuki is going to surprise us again this week. So my top midfield teams, of course, are VCarb and Williams, like I said earlier. And then I know I always say Alpine is great, but Alpine seems to be struggling a bit. So let's get back to the predictions. So those are my midfield predictions. And then for the race, I am going to be bullish once again. Guys, come on. I can't just give you what everybody wants to say, Max winning. I'm thinking Lando's going to win. I see Oscar Piastri behind him. Third, I'm going to go possibly Leclerc, maybe Max. And then fourth, if it's not Max, and then fifth, I kind of see Sainz being right up there. It's between Sainz and Yuki. So let me know your predictions, guys. I think McLaren is going to take it again. I think they're in a good position to take this, and I think they're going to do really well. Also, guys, let's not worry about team orders. The guys are just racing at the moment, so I know everybody's very fearful of, but last year McLaren were messing around with the team orders, and then they didn't win XYZ. Guys, it's the first 3 races where we just sort of play out things. I think normally to the half of the year, we start saying Lando for championship or Oscar. So, guys, enjoy. Have a safe one. And I'll be posting those times later on my Facebook and my Instagram. Join me over there. Bye.